Hello, I'm Sandra Clements with Clements Family Ministries, and we are continuing with our saga on And He Gave Them. We're talking about Sarah, Hagar, and Abraham. Now, everyone has called Abraham the father of the faithful. They never have mentioned Sarah except they said she was helping God out when Ishmael was conceived because she sent Abraham into Hagar to conceive because according to the culture, that would be her child because Sarah being barren was a curse to her. And so she responded to the culture by having Hagar go into Abraham and to conceive. And Hagar conceived, and we know that after she conceived, she began to despise her mistress, which was Sarah. Sarah treated her badly. She ran from Sarah. And then Hagar has this encounter with God in the wilderness. Well, we know that part of the Hagar story. We don't want to make Hagar a negative female image because it would appear from the way she's being portrayed that she had violated some unspoken law. We want to have our history correct as to the circumstances under which Hagar was having to live. But we're going to continue with Sarah because I want you to understand that Sarah is a strong female. In that time, she comes from a culture where it was primarily matriarchal, which meant the children's name was taken from the mother. They could choose their own mate. They had the right to their own personhood once they got married. The family lineage was traced through the female, and that's where she's coming from. Sarah is coming from that lineage, but in that, God honored that because God had Abraham, as I said before, change Sarah's name from Sarai to Sarah, which meant chief or commander or prince. She's a high-standing woman. She's a leader of a tribe. Now, when God sends the angels en route to Gomorrah to bring judgment, they come and they ask Abraham, where's Sarah? And he says in her tent door. And the angels begin to say what God has already said to Abraham, that Sarah would bear a child. And Sarah begins to laugh. And when the angels questioned her, she said she didn't laugh, but she did. They kind of scold Abraham by saying, why did she laugh? Because he had not told her the promise up until this point. Once she understood the promise, she had faith to believe God to conceive seed. Romans declares that the Hebrew letter says Sarah herself also believed God. She believed he who had promised was able to fulfill what he had said. So we want to see Sarah in the same light that we see Abraham as a woman of faith, a woman who could believe God. It says she believed against hope in hope, despite the contradictions that she had been taken into Pharaoh's harem. She had been captured by Abimelech and taken into his harem to be his wife until God intervened and took her out. She was a tremendous woman of faith in order that she could believe God in those dire circumstances to bring deliverance to her. So I want you to see Sarah as God has shown her to be in Scripture. She's a woman of faith. And don't think that God is one-sided. He's showing all men with faith and no women with faith, and we kind of tag along. Sarah didn't just tag along. God moved on Sarah's heart to travel with Abraham when he had to leave his homeland. She would have stayed, according to the culture, with her family because that was the culture dynamic at that point in time. But she believed God, and so she went with her husband into this new land. When Isaac is born, it says that she asked Abraham to cast Hagar out. And then you know the Hagar story. And they continued on. But some of the commentators say that when Abraham was to go and sacrifice Isaac, that it was so grievous to Sarah that she grieved to the point of death. Now, I don't know that that's totally true, but that's what some of the commentators said. But what I do know is that Sarah was a matriarch during that time. The Lord said kings of people would come from her. The tribe of Israel's root name comes from Sarah, not Abraham, but Sarah. And you're seeing a strong, powerful woman who is functioning in her culture, and she's functioning at a very, I would say, prominent level. She's operating not as someone who tags along, but someone who makes decisions. She made primary decisions. Go into my handmaiden, raise up seed. And then she says to her husband, cast her out. And then when he goes to beseech God, God says, hearken to your wife, obey her. Listen, ladies. Listen, men. It doesn't mean that we're in conflict because we are strong. What it means is that we are co-laborers, that we are partners, that we are co-essential, that we know how to submit to one another, we know how to prefer one another, we know how to honor one another. And it's all in the plan of God that He sees us as one. This is Sandra Clements with Clements Family Ministries, and He gave them, and I'll see you next time with another character. Bye.